And we are live. Welcome to the Covers of Puck Props with Jingles and Coco. I'm Covers betting analyst Josh Ingles. Next to me, the man himself, 13-year NHL pro Carlo Colaiacovo. Do you say 13 or 14? Sometimes
14.
I say 14. Well, then you got to get Hockey Reference in trouble. They say 13.
Well, they don't include the lockout year, right? So, but I include the lockout year.
I'm glad we clarified that, bud. Opening night. Take me through opening night, the feelings in a locker room, the player, the first game of the season, especially in a big rivalry game. I know you've had opening games versus as a Leaf versus Ottawa, which were big rivalries, obviously back in the day. But take me through what kind of goes through the runs here.
Well, first of all, I think a lot of players are just glad that preseason is finally over.
So long.
It feels like an eternity when you're going through it. And I think because of that, there's just so much excitement that comes into opening day, right? It's the start of a new season. It's the opportunity to set the tone for what you want your season to feel like. And everybody starts at ground zero, right? I mean, there's no favorite, there's no underdog. I know the betting lines usually determine whether there is a favorite or underdog, but if you're going to get the team's best hockey, it's normally going to be at this time of year because through the next 10, 20 games, you start to see the playing field level itself out. So this is probably the best time of year to be betting underdogs or looking at value at underdogs because, like I said, you're going to find the weaker teams play some of their best hockey this year, which is where I'm looking forward to tonight.
What an absolute collapse from the Pens last night, by the way.
My God. Is Chicago their kryptonite? Or what's the deal here?
I thought
they ended their season last year, and they completely spoiled the start of their season this year in a new era.
Loss. Thanks, guys. That brings us to a first game, and something you mentioned, Habs at Leafs. Toronto minus 300, favorite on the money line. Total sitting at 6.5, leaning to the over. Allen versus likely Samsonov. And this is something you like. Montreal plus 105, or sorry, plus 1.5, even money, reverse money line here. Montreal won opening night last year as a plus 215 home dog in a 4-3 game. What do you like about the Habs tonight, Carlo, or dislike about the Leafs? And I think you kind of already mentioned it as game number 1 on the season, more of a level playing field than, say, game 35 down the road.
Yeah, and that's why I like the underdog in this matchup because, there's obviously going to be a lot of excitement in Toronto, the start of a new season, the start of a new era under Brad Treliving. A lot of the same core players coming back. But for Montreal, this could be probably labeled as one of their biggest games of the year because Montreal is not expected to be a very good team. They're still going to be a team in transition that's going to focus on developing a lot of their younger players. And you look at the game, it's Toronto versus Montreal. You're probably going to have a mix of both fans in the stands. Montreal has gotten up to play some of their best games against the Leafs. And I just think on opening night where really there shouldn't be much of a favorite, you're getting good value on a Montreal team that's got a lot to play for in game 1 of the season to sort of set a different tone for the group that maybe most people have, predicted for this group. So at plus a goal and a half, I could see this game maybe going to overtime if you want to sprinkle a little bit on the overtime value prop. But, Montreal to keep it close and maybe even squeak out a win because you look at the Leafs record last year, and you pointed this out. In games they were minus 300 or more, they had an 8-3 record. But 2 of those 3 losses came against Montreal, who they were big favorites against. So a team like Montreal against a team like Toronto that probably brings their best A game, I just like the value here. It's too much early on in the season to lay the juice on big favorites.
I like it. I'm jumping on a market that's really moving here. William Nylander over 3.5 shots on goal, minus 125. Odds courtesy of Sports Interaction. This market's moving down, was minus 110. All right, back on the wing. That's great. PP1 confirmed, like there's no PP2. This is a guy who was second on the team in shots attempt per 60 last year versus Montreal. 5 shots, 7 shots, 5 shots, and 10 shots.
Wow.
Yeah. Could Willie Nylander be the MVP of this team this year?
If you're listening to my show this morning, it was kind of my wild card picks that I threw out there because this is a guy that scored 40 goals last year. You saw how hard he played in the last game of the season when he needed to score 40. And the biggest thing he's got going for him this year, he's playing for a contract. So a guy that's going to play for his contract is going to look to elevate his game to another level. If he does that, is he capable of getting 90 points? Could he reach 100? Potentially. This team has built an offense that can allow some of their top players to exceed the century point. I mean, the Edmonton Oilers had 3 players reach the century point last year. Could the Maple Leafs do it? Marner was close. Matthews has done it once already. Could Nylander be the third guy to do it? And in order for him to be that third guy to do it, he's got to drive the offense on that second line. Playing alongside Tavares. Domi's going to get the first look at that second line. I would envision probably Matthew Nyes being there as a permanent mainstay, as the games get going on here, or maybe even Tyler Bertuzzi finding some time on that. But Nylander has to be the guy that drives the offense on that line. And to do that, he's got to have a shot mentality. Shot mentality is going to make sure he gets points either with goals or with points. And I like this a lot tonight, the over 3.5 goal shot.
I like it so much. I'm going to put half a unit on 5 shots at plus 175.
Hey.
Another half unit on 6 shots at plus 340.
Okay.
Always nice to have all shot totals here. If you did it on Bedard last night, is that you'd be cashing? I believe his 5+ shots was paying over plus 500. So
wow,
yeah, find the.
How many did you finish with last night?
What's that? Finished with 5.
How many did you finish with last night?
5.
5, eh? Yeah, he was all over the place.
And now we see his market go from, I think it opened at like minus 115 over 2.5, and it opened up today at minus 200. So, and that's versus Boston too on the second game of the back-to-back. So those numbers are long gone. So that's what we've got for the Leafs game. Montreal plus 1.5 at even money. Willie Nylander over 3.5 shots on goal, minus 125, and a little ladder, 5 at 175 and 6 at plus 130. And then we jump over. Let's go down. Where are we? I think we're in Vancouver. Oilers 3-way money line minus 105. We are big on Edmonton. We mentioned it obviously in our futures bet. What we like, you like Edmonton outright at 10-1 or better. Vancouver has old Farhan Largy was out there talking about. I don't know how much he loves the team right now, but like he's out there on the beat, and he's saying there's a flu bug going around the locker room. And add in Connor Garland's agent is looking for a trade, and they're up against the cap, and there's some distractions early on. I know that both of us are high on Edmonton this year, but is the flu early in the season a blip on your radar? Does it mean something to you, or is that just subjective?
Well, think about how you feel when you have the flu, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to move from your bed. You don't want to move from your house. You want to have somebody constantly serve you. The athlete is feeling the same way. And you got to think too at the beginning of the season when your adrenaline and the juices.
A conditioning issue too.
Well, there has to be a concern for that too, because at the beginning of the year when you want to use the excitement and the adrenaline that you feel from opening night to give you as much energy as you can. Well, if you already have something that's making your body feel crap, like it's probably something that's not in your best interest. So. It's not like Edmonton needed any more of an advantage because clearly they have the advantage of being the better team with the better players. If you watched Edmonton play this preseason, they played like they were bored. It's almost like they were just ready for this season to start, ready for them to tear up the league. You've seen their goaltending straighten themselves up a little bit. Jack Campbell playing a lot better. He's going to push Stuart Skinner for the net. I'm not sure who the confirmed starter is tonight, but flu bug or no flu bug, I would take Edmonton in this game just because I expect them to come out like gangbusters. I'm very high on them this season. I think this is their year, and I think they want to get it off to a good start. And Vancouver is still a team that doesn't have an identity. I mean, they know they named Quinn Hughes the captain of their team. Elias Pettersson finished the season good when Taka took over. JT Miller is still there. Kuzmenko was a great story last year. Can he replicate that type of season? What type of goaltending you're going to get? How reliable can their defense be? There's so many question marks in that team. So enough of me analyzing this. I'm over analyzing this. I'm overthinking this because Edmonton is the play tonight.
Yeah, and what I like about the flu angle is I didn't see the price change after the tweets and after the news about the flu going through the locker room. So the flu might not be priced into this minus 105 three-way money line. Oilers in regulation, and you already mentioned them, same game. We hit him last year a lot. Andrei Kuzmenko over 0.5 points, plus 105. Tell me why he's plus 105, because I don't understand. First line with Pettersson, PP1 with Pettersson. He's plus 130 to score, which is one of the top three, the third shortest, which doesn't make any sense. You would think So
here you're getting the value both with the assist and the goal.
Yeah, and I mean, Pettersson has a 1.5 point total. Like, I understand, but this is a game that you know how the NHL works. If Edmonton gets power plays and they score on power plays, then what happens with Vancouver?
Yeah, they lose. They start playing a little bit more loose offensively.
But they also get power plays too. I mean,
right. They're pushing. Yeah,
it's the rubber band effect in the NHL, and you can pretty much predict who gets the next penalty, which is kind of infuriating. But at the same time,
this is what really amazes me with working with a guy like you is your ability to find lines like this. Honestly, because it's the old saying, "Too good to be true." Is this a too good to be true line? Because it doesn't make any sense.
No, for a guy who's probably going to play 19 minutes top line and PP1, this is just they're price points with guys and roles, and it's opportunities. It's almost not like the guy. We're never like, wow, this guy's a hell of a skater. He should be priced here. No, it's just opportunity. Like, you're just going to be on the ice. Like, a secondary assist is good enough for this, but and at plus 105, that's what it is. And same handicap as we get Kuzmenko over 0.5 points, plus 105 in the book there. Winnipeg at Calgary. I wanted Scheifele. Scheifele was minus 110 too. Same thing. Top line center, top line power play. But I'm going to take Nazem Kadri over 0.5 points, minus 110. Same thing. He's centering the second line, but still top six, and also centering power play one. Could get more ice time under new coaching staff. 17 minutes last year. He was playing over 19 minutes a game in Colorado, so he can play those minutes. Last year was a disappointment in this club, but Sutter out, Huska in. What can a change of coaching and a new outlook on a season do to a team, especially for like a game they've got circled on the map, like game one? This is how we change things. What do you expect from Calgary here?
Look, I think you touched on a couple of important things there. I think for Calgary, the start of a new season is a breath of fresh air, because this is a team that went through so much turmoil last year. The offseason that it was with Gaudreau and Tkachuk, the acquisition of Huberdeau, getting him to a big contract, not living up to the contract, the feud between him and the coach, the amount of games they lost by one goal last year. Like, there's a lot of factors to point as to the reason why Calgary had a down last year. I'm really high on Calgary, as you heard in our future segment that we posted a couple days ago. I think this is going to be the team that has the biggest bounce back, because they're pretty much the same team, just with a new voice. And sometimes that new voice behind the bench is all you really need to get the confidence back in the players. And I think Calgary is going to be a good example of that, because they're going to have their best players play a little bit more confident, probably play a system that's a little bit more fitted for the way they want to play, and probably will lead to more success than they had last year. And in order to do that, they need their best players to be their best players. Huberdeau cannot have the drop-off that he had from 2 years ago to last year. You expect there to be a middle ground there where he can at least surpass the total that he had last year significantly. And if that happens, you're going to have guys like Lindholm, like Backlund, like Kadri reap the benefits of it. So I expect their power play to be better. I expect their offense to be better. And in doing so, another great value play you find here with Kadri is he, correct me if I'm wrong, he's not their top line center, is he? He's their second line center?
Yeah, he's the second line
center. But he's first line power play. So
yeah, center power play, which is the touch to draw.
And you got to feel encouraged too. I know we don't want to make much of preseason, but Calgary's look like a team that has a new found life and a new level of energy in their game, just strictly based on what we've seen in the preseason.
Yeah, Huberdeau, same price, minus 110 for a point.
Interesting.
Yeah, so we'll see if they get hot, if those numbers get adjusted. But there are some things here. Stayed away from double dipping on points in this game. Just these guys have consistently played unders, especially last year, 3-1, 4-1. Just some tight games. So going to go with one guy with Kadri over 0.5 points, minus 110. Really like that. Ryan Croats in the chat says, like all the penalties in the Preds Lightning. I did not. Sergachev, thanks a lot. Like I went into that third period with a plus 170 and a plus 140 alive. Yeah, I lose the plus 140 on a penalty shot.
Yeah.
Think of the
that shouldn't even have been a penalty shot, to be honest with you. Like, they didn't have a clear-cut breakaway.
That game got loose in third, and I was not appreciative.
And then I needed more power plays in the Pittsburgh game because I was on the Letang, Carlson, Crosby power play point, and there was no penalties called in that game.
I think the Letang had the best value for sure. He was like 30 points, 35 points longer than Carlson playing on the same power play. So something to note. Take a look at the power plays. Some were tight, like Tampa Bay's numbers were like minus 115, minus 120 for Kucherov, a power play point. That is something you should not be laying, I suggest. Even though he got it, I mean, that's a hell of a number. But don't love playing unders. We lost a couple yesterday, but find the numbers, see what's out there, see if they're changing, find things, find guys with expanded roles. More minutes on ice always just means more opportunity and counting stats. That is the biggest thing. If you're new to betting, if you're new to NHL betting props, or if you're just looking from last year to this year, guys with more opportunities can create more counting stats. That's what we are. I think we're gonna leave it at that. Let's do a quick recap here of today's games. I mean, there's so many more games too, right? Like Boston's got Zacha. Like Zacha's undervalued, I feel, today in a game where Chicago's on the back-to-back, gave up 40 shots to Pittsburgh.
Yesterday was good too because they had staggered games. It's almost like for the bettors in us, the staggered games are better because you can at least try to find something at each time slot. When things are so compacted together, I mean, you do a great job at it, but it's hard to find the value plays in all the games.
Yeah, I was a crappy father trying to just watch shot on goals tick from 1 to 2 while people in my house had to brush their teeth and go to bed. So apologize for that. But let's go.
Learn how to multiply 6 by 6. Right?
Oh God, yeah, exactly. Carlo likes Montreal plus 1.5 goals on that puck line at even money. Then jumping over to William Nylander, whose market is falling, over 3.5 shots, minus 125, and then a little ladder. Half a unit on 5 shots at plus 175 and 6 shots at plus 340, half a unit on each. So 2 units fully on Nylander. Then we went Oilers, 3-way money line, minus 105. Better team. Don't think that flu bug and the issues with Connor Garland and his agent are priced in here for a big distraction for a team that is not better than Edmonton. And then Andrei Kuzmenko over 0.5 points, plus 105. This should not be plus money with the opportunities that he's getting. And then Winnipeg, Calgary, Kadri for a point, minus 110. There's a few, but I'm not projecting a high-scoring game, so I'm just going to sit with Kadri there. Just kind of rolling with some PP1 centers. Have no issues with that. Nope. All right, so yeah, little dip into the second day of NHL. We're here every Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday, 10 a.m. live. That's what we're doing all hockey season. Let's go, bud. It was great last year. Happy to be back on the airs with you here. That will do it for us here on Covers This Puck Props, odds courtesy of Sports Interaction. We'll see you back here Friday, 10 a.m. live.
Ciao.